Welcome to JSA TV, where we're covering the latest news, trends, and innovations from thought leaders from within the digital infrastructure industry. I am Dean Perrine, and we are coming at you live. That's right, we are live at DCD NYC in Times Square, New York, New York. And my friend next to me right here is Mr. Anthony Amelio. Anthony is the global head of sales and marketing for Futureform. Anthony, how are you?
Doing great, Dean. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. How's the show going for you?
Really exciting. It's actually a lot bigger than last year, and I'm kind of worried about next year.
You know, that's how it is. And what I like is when I look over the wall over here and I see all of these companies that I've never heard of before, I think our industry is thriving. When there's a bunch of people out there that I don't recognize, that's a good thing.
Well, and we're one of them, unfortunately, and that is, even though we've been around for over 50 years, Futureform is a rebranding of our old name, B&J Industries, to become a little bit more commensurate with the type of work that we do.
You know, let's talk about Futureform. So there's a lot here. For our viewers that don't already know, why don't you tell them a little bit about Futureform?
All right, so we are a white space infrastructure specialist. We do a little bit of gray space as well, but primarily, if it's inside the data center made of metal, we're making it.
So let's talk about that. Leads me to my first question. New 3D printing capabilities. I can't honestly say that I've ever discussed 3D printing with regard to the digital infrastructure space, but it only makes sense. Tell us about that.
Well, one of the things that we're finding in the digital infrastructure space is as designs for interior components are becoming more sophisticated, prototyping is being required.
Yeah.
Well, 3D printing really lends itself well to prototyping parts. But we didn't want to just jump in and start doing a little 3D printing here and there. We figured if we're going to get into it, let's jump in whole hog and make it so that we can mass produce parts as well.
Yeah.
So, for example, strike plates just for your doors.
Yeah.
Little components like this. Typically, they would be injection molded, but then you have to make dies, and now you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. And frankly, if you don't need that many, you only need 5 or 10,000 of something. 3D printing is a perfect solution to make those components.
You know what I love about this, and I told you we were going to go off script, and already I'm doing that. But with regard to like some of the companies that I hadn't heard of before, it's only until they're sitting in the hot seat next to me that the light bulb goes on and says, every single one of these components is absolutely critical to building the data centers of the future and being able to do so in an efficient way, everything from the lighting to the twisting of the metal on the cages to the prototyping, and then ultimately to being able to do so in an efficient and affordable way that are meeting time frames that are pretty aggressive. And you all are doing that better than many in the industry. When lead times can be 12, 14, 18, 24 months, your time to deploy is a little shorter. Tell us a little bit about why that is.
Well, we have tried to move in a more automated approach to our manufacturing. Anybody can throw more warm bodies at the problem, but trying to find people with the right skill sets and trying to then deploy them and get them up to speed really takes a lot of time and effort. And unfortunately, there's just so many people you can hire and so fast you can get them productive. As a result, we're seeing a lot of longer lead times because the demand is increasing every day. So we have decided, and hence our name, to move in a new direction. We've decided that becoming much more highly automated, throwing most of our capital right back into the company to make it more efficient, faster, means that I don't need to have as many employees because my machines are making things 24/7. And as a result, my lead times are typically 8 to 10 weeks from cocktail napkin to finished product on your floor.
Cocktail napkin, I'm going to use it.
Yes,
I'm going to use that from now on.
I'll tell you where to send the royalty check.
Okay, Anthony, amazing. Okay, so nobody leaves the JSA TV booth without talking about AI, and AI is kind of changing. It is obviously impacting the work that every single person in this room is doing. Tell us what your play is with regard to AI and how it's impacting the work that you do.
Okay, that's a complex question because when people talk about AI, generally they're talking about the demand side of the data center equation. In other words, AI is and cloud-based web design and software design is driving this demand for data centers. However, people forget that there's an AI component on the supply side. Part of the problem with us keeping up with demand is the fact that we're trying to create the future using sort of old-fashioned, antiquated
Yeah.
technology,
Yeah.
and that comes right down to our manufacturing processes and our software and everything else. So right now, we're completely redesigning how we do business. We have implemented a brand new CRM. We are implementing a brand new ERP, and we are using AI to integrate it.
Yeah.
People need to understand, often they confuse AI with machine learning.
Yeah.
So let's be clear. Any machine can learn what it's doing wrong and fix that. That's just simple SCADA software. Where AI comes in is the ability to figure out how to solve a problem it didn't even know it had.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can program a computer to do anything I need it to do. But to ask the program, hey, I'm trying to solve a problem, and then have it figure out the solution is really revolutionizing the way we do business.
Yeah.
And that is the I component, because machine learning is really the experience half of the equation, but for it to be true AI, it needs to have a frame of reference as well.
Yeah.
Why am I making this? To what purpose is this thing for? And to be able to have a machine understand and here like contextual AI.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's kind of an oxymoron.
Yeah.
If it's AI, it's contextual.
That's
okay?
right. Yeah.
But the point is that context is a frame of reference, right? Experience is easy. A machine can remember what it did before and make adjustments to do something different. But when you have a machine that can say, this is not going to solve the problem I want it to in the most efficient way, let's try it differently.
Yeah.
That's artificial intelligence. And we're actually working on algorithms right now with a variety of software companies to improve our manufacturing processes, so that when you have a skeleton crew at the middle of the night and it's 2:30 in the morning and a machine says, this isn't going right,
Yeah.
it knows what to do without having to just shut down and send an alarm to somebody who's going to wake up and drive over and try
Deploy
to
a
fix
team
it.
and yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah. Anthony, always fascinating to talk with you and learn more about FutureForm. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
You bet. You bet. And thank you, viewers, for watching JSA TV. We'll see you real soon.